Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has said that all workers will be auto-enrolled into a pension scheme by January 2021. Speaking at the IBEC event last night, the Taoiseach said his government will publish a 5-year roadmap for pension reform before the end of the year. Currently, only 35% of private workers in Ireland have pension cover. And on the line now we have Minister for Social Protection, Regina Doherty. Good morning, Minister.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you outline the proposals for this new bill?
Well, to put it very, very simply, there are, as you have suggested, that there are 2/3 of people who are currently working that have no savings in an occupational pension for when they get old, and we want to help. And it's literally as simple as that, but it's very complicated to prepare, and I think that's probably why it's taken so long. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks, is bring a memo to Cabinet to get approval from the Cabinet to go out to public consultation with the industry, with employers, and with people, normal people like you and me and everybody else that's listened to your programme this morning. Of the 2/3 of people who don't have pensions, what we're proposing to do is, in and around the beginning of 2021, have a scheme where they can pay into a pension, their employers will pay into a pension, and the state will pay into that pension. But the negotiations, obviously, the discussions will take place over the next couple of months as to what shape that will take. So whether it'll be 1%, 1%, 1%, or, so that's what we'll unravel over the course of the next couple of weeks.
This is obviously a realisation or an acknowledgement that we have a serious problem. People refer to it regularly as the ticking time bomb that is our pension. Because we're getting a lot older, and the state simply in about 10, 15 years, 20 years' time won't be able to afford to pay state pensions, will they?
Well, no, I think the ticking time bomb is referred to the state pension, because the current funding system for the state pension, as we go forward, we know more people are getting older and living longer, which is great. The current system probably won't be able to provide for that, and we're going to do a body of work to make sure that it can, because the social contract from the state is that you pay your PRSI every year, we'll look after you in your old age. But that's different. But that's only a minimum standard of living, and obviously what we want and the ambition for Irish people is to have more. So we're going to try and address that deficit. Of all of the people who are working in Ireland at the moment, only 1/3 of them pay voluntarily into a pension to save for themselves. We want to address that and make sure that everybody has some sort of savings over and above the minimum state pension when they reach 66. That's what we're hoping to do.
What pay bracket, Minister, will the auto-enrolment apply to?
What needs to be determined. Now, what I would like is for it to be all pay brackets, because you can't discriminate somebody, that's earning 20 grand to somebody that's earning 40 grand, but it's always going to be based on the percentage. So whatever percentage that you put in, the employer will put in a percentage and the state will put in a percentage, and we have to work out the details as to what that percentage is going to be. And actually, what's really good from my perspective is that there's great reception coming from business, there's great reception coming from the people that I've spoken to about it. So the public consultation, I hope, will be short and swift. And then once we've agreed politically, after debating it all, the parameters of the deal, then the longer term part of this project is going to build an IT platform within the Department of Social Protection and Employment Affairs to be able to manage that pension system, and to decide who we're going to get to manage that system. Because obviously it's going to be a very sizable amount of money.
Minister, I suppose the big question here is this going to be compulsory, or will there be opt-out clauses in it? Different categories.
You're bringing me into a compulsory argument all over again, and I made that mistake in September. It's going to be mandatory in the beginning to enrol, so everybody is going to be automatically enrolled, and there'll be a cooling off period before you will be able to exit if you want to exit. And I think that probably will be 6 months. But again, I won't determine that. The public consultation will determine that. But what it's to try and do is to say, Paul Williams, stay in for 6 months. So at the end of the 6 months, you'll get your statement and you'll see the value of your saving from hopefully what will be a small amount of money taken out of your wages that we hope that you won't have missed. Now, I know that sounds very twee, but
it's a real issue here about education and information, isn't there? Because the problem is with young people, inevitably, I have a son who's 28, 29, and I'm trying to convince him, get into a pension now. He's got a really good job in the UK, by the way. He had to leave the country. And I say, people in that age bracket don't think about retirement, even though now's the time to be thinking about it. But we've 1.1 million people, Chris Donoghue was just telling us a little earlier, who have no provision made. So it's all, isn't it, a matter as well about education? Tell people, look, one day you're going to need this.
Yeah, well, look, again, not to be, I suppose, disrespectful in telling people how to spend their money. It's just to show them the merits, obviously, of having more than €230 to live on a week when you get to 66. I mean, at that stage in most people's lives, you know, you've done your working career, you've had your children, you're probably on grandchildren, you want to have the crack and be able to go places and see things. And in order to do that, you need to have more than 230 quid a week. We want to show people the merits and the benefits of doing it by providing stipends, you know, a number of times a year so that you can see your pension pot growing in real time, not some abstract figure that your son is only 29. Jesus, 66 is a long way away for a 29-year-old. And I'm sure he has loads of things to do with his money today. But it's to show him the benefit of saying, geez, for a little bit of money, this pot is growing. And actually, by the time I get to 66, I'll have a decent few bob to supplement the state pension and to have a good living, you know, or a good life.
Before I let you go, Minister, the Taoiseach also used his speech to announce last night to upcoming legislation to outlaw so-called zero-hour contracts.
Yeah.
When can we see that?
Well, it's being drafted at the moment. I've given a commitment to government that I will have it published before Christmas, and actually my ambition is to bring it to the House before Christmas. There's a real rogue element in a very, very small number of employers, and I'm pains to stress that, because the vast majority of employers in this country are really, really good and realise that happy employees are productive employees. But there's a small number of people in this country that mistreat employees, that don't even tell them who they're working for, the address of the company, and like real simple basic information. How much they're going to get paid, when they're going to get paid, how much work they're going to have this week. That's not fair.
So would this legislation be tough enough and robust enough that if somebody is caught abusing this, they'll be brought before the courts?
Well, they'll be made to comply with the legislation. Okay. So absolutely it will be robust enough to look after those rogue employees.
Minister for Social Protection, Regina Doherty, thank you very much for joining us this morning.